Been a day. Hopefully, everybody will get in here pretty quickly. We're going to talk a little bit about the Texas Bowl, I guess. I haven't really heard opt outs at this point. Um, we had some portal stuff, but nobody majors in the portal. And all in all, I mean, it should be pretty okay. Texas Tech's giving up 30 points a game. This is a game where Quinshawn Judkins should be favored to set the SEC freshman rushing record. He only needs 150 yards to do that. I would bet that he would do it against them. So we'll see exactly how that looks. All kinds of stories, got Suntarine Perkins saying all the right things, but then there's a rumor come out tonight that he might not sign in December, which I think he's going to be fine, because if he was going to decommit from Ole Miss, he would decommit from Ole Miss. My opinion on that one. And whenever you look at portal options that we are hitting right now, you got Braden Fisk out of Western Michigan. It's a Michigan City, Indiana kid that has visited Notre Dame. That's something to keep in mind on this one. There's a serious dream school possibility that could happen with Braden Fisk. I do not know how he feels about Notre Dame, but I know that a kid from Michigan City, Indiana, visiting Notre Dame, that's always going to be a threat. Ole Miss has also offered Andre Carter, his defensive end at Western Michigan. Decent player. His stats are fine. He's getting offers from several people. But that is the Western Michigan core, kind of. Paris something out of Arizona. His first name's Paris. I don't know his last name right offhand, because I'm doing all this from memory. I probably should have notes in front of me. They've offered him, and the DB out of Wake Forest are 4 confirmed offers. I think Ra Thomas has also gotten an offer. So the portal activity, we're at the point where these games we are going to see things escalate pretty quickly. I mean, right now everything's going one direction, but here within 3 or 4 days, everything is going to pick up all over. Kara, I sent the thing. Are you there? Can you talk? It says co-host.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there you are. How you doing?
How are you?
Pretty good. I'm just kind of running through portal offers.
Yeah. I saw. Did you talk about potential interest in POE?
No, I haven't gotten that far because I haven't seen that offer. I've seen there's.
I don't know if we've offered. I just think there's some interest.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think we talked about him on like Monday's show. Honestly, I think there's going to be some potential interest in a couple of the Alabama wide receivers that jumped in the portal, and I think the main 2 positions. Okay, there's 2 different separate things, in my opinion, that Ole Miss needs to do in the transfer portal or in recruiting. Now, we got the whole issue with Suntarine Perkins. That's something we'll talk about in a little bit. But Ole Miss needs to shore up the middle of the field, which means they need desperately to get a slot receiver. Not an outside receiver that plays slot receiver. An honest-to-goodness slot receiver. Because Jordan Watkins, God bless his soul, he tried his best. He did everything he needed to do, but he looked like an outside receiver playing slot. Ole Miss needs just a genuine slot receiver, and they also need to shore up tight end. And I think that will cure that little area, that little donut-sized hole in the middle of the field. And because of that, Quinshawn Judkins and Zach Evans will even be more effective. And that's the first thing that I think Ole Miss needs to do. The second thing we need to do is they need to get a little bit bigger at rush end or end and the box safety position. So it's not so much of a physics nightmare to where the other team's running off tackle belly plays and offensive linemen are blocking a 240-pound defensive end and a 200-pound safety.
Because Billy
Hemingway,
sorry, I have a whole script in front of me. Guys, we appreciate it. Bill, stay with us. All right, we have more. All right, we're not going to more. We got to go to Molly Hemingway. Sorry, I have a whole script in front of me. Molly Hemingway, and of course Kellyanne Conway. Molly,
I mean, I would love
you
Jaheim
and I
Bell.
talked about this about a
I'd
week
love if we
ago.
were in his ear.
We felt this coming.
They offered C.J. Dupree from Maryland,
Like the
tight end.
Senate Republicans wanted this
One's
guy
not Maryland, but
in office.
I'm of the mind
He was
that
a Trump pick.
you know,
They didn't
I
like
guess
that.
there's
They
still
really
time,
liked him
but
as a
we really
person,
haven't seen
a
Trey
responsible
hit
person.
the portal or anything. So I have an idea that Lane's really working with him. So, and if things can work out with Trey, I definitely would prefer having Trey there. So, but I definitely like both of those.
I think after this year, they have to pick up somebody, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they have to go in and pick up a main tight end player and honestly make Michael Trigg work a little bit. He needs to have a Matt Corral revelatory moment. And if that happens, Trigg has all the athletic ability in the world. He has a chance to be just an unbelievable player. But I think that is stopping him at the moment.
Doing nothing other than sabotaging their own base. What is the case for voting Republican for the Senate?
The Texas Bowl.
I don't think one was even
okay
attempted to be made.
Bowl?
And nothing seems to be changing. You didn't see a lot of enthusiasm down there. Of course, the spending was completely. It was just. Look at how close it was, though. I mean, what did we say? This was winnable, Kelly, and I know you don't want any change. You want Ron McDaniel. I like Ron McDaniel.
If we get to 3,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel,
a warning sign flashing, or are we just going to keep doing the same thing all over again?
We will do a live pregame show.
Kevin McCarthy won the House. He won the House.
Now,
yes, he did. And we were spent 3-1 here.
Why?
No excuse. There's no excuse in Georgia for us not to have done what Brian Kemp did. Yes, he's the incumbent governor. He's very popular. He's running against Stacey Abrams. But he turned out over his micro targeting
we can try to make it work.
Grassroots people.
Logistically, it might not always, but we'll do our best.
Yeah, it's an NFL stadium, so the Wi-Fi is probably decent.
Did Mitch McConnell tear down there? Guys.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. And we got 3 people requested.
Yeah.
Pick that out for me, Care. I'm having trouble reading it.
Let's see. We'll get Billy. We have Reese and Rick.
Reese and Rick. What's up, Rick? You're muted, buddy. Huh.
Hello?
Hey, Billy.
Hey, Billy.
What's up? How's it going?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Sorry, Rick. We'll get to you in just a second, man.
Yeah.
How you doing, Billy?
I'm good. I was going to say I'm a little disappointed with the bowl because, every year I'd look at that bowl and be like, it's like the 5th best SEC team. I was kind of wanting the Outback Bowl or New Year's Six Bowl, of course, but that's what happened when Lane lost us those last 2 games, just past 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing that I'm pleasantly surprised about is our fan base. I thought there would be more of a push for the last 3 weeks to just disappear like they didn't happen. And they haven't really done that, which I'm kind of impressed about.
I think Lane knows it, and I think that's going to be a reason why we're going to blow out Texas Tech in a bowl game.
Yeah, and Texas Tech is, if you look at their season, they finished 7-5, but they won their last 3 games. There's a little bit similarity to whenever we played Texas Tech in 2008. The difference is I don't think they have the defense, but if you play sloppy against them, they will beat you. If you play well, their defense it struggles a bit. How you doing, Rick?
Doing good, man. Yeah, thanks. I was talking, but my mic wasn't on. It helps if the mic gets turned on.
Hey, we've all been there, bud.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with what the last I think it was Billy said. I think the Egg Bowl hurt us as far as getting a good bowl game. We probably would have been in Florida, and I would like to think we might have made the Gator Bowl and playing Notre Dame. That would have been so much fun. what it is. I wanted to go back to the Trigg thing, and what are y'all's thoughts on what happened, and why is he in the doghouse? Any guess on that?
Now, I've heard speculation all over the place, and I don't want to go too far on it, but the main rumor that I heard over and over again was something happened at practice.
Okay.
And it wasn't anything terrible, or else he would have been kicked off the team. He wouldn't just be suspended.
Okay.
But
so maybe a little bit of an attitude adjustment.
Yeah, I think that's necessary. Just based off of everything I heard, he just needs like the Matt Corral essentially come to Jesus moment.
I heard he dressed out for the Arkansas game, and before the Arkansas game, Lane told him he wasn't going to play tonight, just be dressed out, and they got in a big argument before the game, and then Lane was like, "You're done for the year."
Okay, well, I mean, if you see what goes on, stuff like that, I don't doubt it.
I wonder if he'll play him in the bowl game as a precursor for next year.
No, I do not think so. I think Kyron Heath is going to play in the bowl game. I think he's going to get some meaningful tight end snaps.
I saw recently on his Instagram that he's been like doing drills and like working out, so maybe there's been some grace there.
Whatever happened to Jalen Robinson? Is he hurt?
Yeah,
or did he just disappear?
Every week, you can almost set your clock by it, right? It seems like he's tried 2 or 3 times to go, and each time it's like re-aggravated what he's done. It's the dangest thing.
I got a little question and kind of tidbit on the Texas Bowl. I was down at the Texas Tech game in Houston. I guess that was fall of 2018. But just a side note, I mean, Joey McGuire he's a Texas high school coaching legend. I mean, I think they're gonna have the Red Raiders ready. I think that's gonna be a pretty fair 50-50 game down at NRG Stadium. So it could be a true test to Lane's, sentiment, to Lane, coming back and staying with us. Just kind of want y'all's thoughts on, how we handle going down to Houston and playing against Texas Tech.
I think it's important that Ole Miss wins the game. There's going to be people that tell you, even people that cover the Ole Miss beat, will tell you that bowl games don't matter. It's all exhibitions. No, this game absolutely matters because of the way the season ended. This is a chance to kind of kickstart a little momentum against a decent team that, even though what Lubbock is like 45, 60 minutes closer to Houston than Oxford, Mississippi, is still going to be a Texas Tech home game. And all of that comes through. Quinshon Judkins has 150 yards to get the freshman record, break Herschel Walker's record. And I think that's important. I think there's so many things riding on this. And I think they need to open up the offense a little bit for Jackson Dart because he showed the last couple of weeks of the season he could do it.
Yeah, like you said, I think they need to take the training wheels off Dart. I mean, you went, 30 for 38 in the last game. I think it's one of those games where you got to let him throw it. You got to let him kind of pick out the middle of the field. It's been, absolutely invisible to go through the middle of the field, it seems like, the past 12 weeks. So hopefully with all the Lane Kiffin drama behind us, with him staying, we try to attack some things that we didn't really get to in SEC play and for the past 12 weeks and, start building upon that for 23.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
Question on the running backs.
All right.
With Zach Evans potentially coming back, is that going to hurt getting Dowdle?
No. Now, I don't know for sure that Zach Evans is going to come back. I think the rumor that everybody was saying that it was 50-50. So I don't know if anybody's in a position to count chickens. I think honestly, if Zach Evans announces he's coming back, it'll be after December 21st.
Yeah. When do you have to declare for the draft?
I think mid-January.
Okay.
I'll be curious too. I think, and maybe I just missed this. I haven't seen a lot of the opt-outs yet, and so I'm wondering about Mingo, Heath, maybe Zach, I guess.
Yeah, that would be one thing to pay attention to is Zach. Absolutely.
Can Mingo come back?
I think Mingo might have his COVID year. 2019.
No, I think that was this year.
Yeah, I think that was this year.
19, 20, 21, 22. That's 4. So with the COVID year in 2020.
I know, like for Heath, he's done. He doesn't have any more eligibility.
Yeah, but I think Heath was an 18. He was the year before. This was his COVID year.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but just doing math, everybody else gets an extra year, but Mingo doesn't really sound like it tracks. But
I think it's important that Mingo and Broker both play in the bowl game.
I do too.
Yeah.
There's nobody on this team that's good enough to opt out.
Right.
I mean, we are severely talented. We have talent all over the place, but nobody's that good. There's not an Elijah Moore on this roster. The closest to it would be Quinshon Judkins, and he's 2 years away from opting out.
Well, my only thing with Mingo is I'm wondering if he is, his draft stock was kind of high for a bit there, and I'm wondering if some of those drops, some of those, mental mistakes there, like he's maybe wanting to show out, and this is a good chance for him to do so. So I'm kind of hoping he's wanting to use this a little bit before he makes his decision.
Especially with the weak defense that Texas Tech had.
Yeah. I did. The one thing about that's cool about the show is whenever I do things about the other team and I put the other team in the title. So if I put Texas Tech Red Raiders in the title like Monday, all of a sudden all of their fans that search that on YouTube find that video and they come in and watch it as well. And they comment on it about what was going on. And like they say things like the Iowa State game was cold. That's the reason it was 14-10. It was like bitterly cold. And whenever you hear stuff like that and the feedback that you get from the fans, that is pretty cool, especially with their defense. That's how you learn some things about this Joey McGuire team, because like somebody said earlier, he's a legend in high school football in Texas. And the Red Raiders are just becoming a well-coached football team.
Let me just say this. I think Deion Sanders is independent of Fitz. I think Deion is like the sun. Everything revolves around him. This guy is the magnet. It doesn't matter where a recruit's from. They're going to answer his DM.
They have 2 running backs that are over 600 yards, but they are mostly a passing team. They've thrown the ball for nearly 4,000 yards this year, and their defense has given up in the mid-30s.
And now that I've gotten here and I see it, I truly understand what you want. All you want is an opportunity to win, to compete, to dominate, to be amongst the elite, to be amongst the best. And darn it, I'm going to give you that.
A fundamentally sound coach, and that's something that I feel like Ole Miss always kind of does Ole Miss things whenever we play by the book, or play against folks who play by the book and play fundamentals. It's always a test, so I think we should be able to survive this, but it's something that will stick out on kind of how we handle it and what the win column looks like at the end of the year.
Yeah, the most important thing for Ole Miss is going to be to play clean.
Yes.
If they're sloppy, Texas Tech will eat them up, and Texas Tech will beat them.
I agree.
Well, hopefully everybody's fired up to play and not to end the season on a 4-game losing streak.
Yeah, seriously, right?
Well, and Stephen, I know you mentioned, with having Perkins and kind of, reconfirming his commitment to Ole Miss, as long as Partridge is still around, I think, we're going to see that 3-2-6. I think we're going to see kind of that package he's been throwing all year. In the transfer portal, I know we really need a center. We really need some tight ends. We really need somebody to, stretch the field in that slot position. But how do you think that we're going to probably stack up and maybe go after some folks that are, true and tried linebackers who played at some Power 5, places? Do you think that's something that we try to look for again, the same way that we snagged the guy from Central Michigan. Is that something that you see us kind of going down that path with?
When I look at what's happening in the portal right now, I see them getting bigger at positions. Like they're recruiting a 300-pound defensive end, which is not something they were doing. Those guys were 250, 260 pounds, 240. But now they're recruiting like a 300-pound defensive end. Like multiple of them are in the portal with offers right now. I think in high school recruiting, their goal is to close the deal with Suntory Perkins and put him in a box safety role where Tysheem Johnson or Ashim Young or Otis Reese or Ladarius Tennyson, that type position. And in a perfect world, you put those two together, you get bigger up front, you get a little bit bigger and athletic in there, and your defense, even though you're doing the same stuff you've been doing, it's going to be better because you don't have that physics problem.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes sense because, I saw earlier, I don't know if it was, today or whenever he actually announced it, but, Mason Cobb out of Oklahoma State, he has that 5-tool prototype that, you just love to see in the red and blue, and just kind of curious to see if that's something that we're kind of building for, or, something that maybe we take advantage of that NIL money and, try to go get us somebody who has 2-3 years of experience, even though, playing in the Big 12, like those snaps still matter.
And I think it's also important to remember that Chris Partridge is not a 3-2-6 guy. Mm-hmm. He learned the 3-2-6 here under DJ Durkin.
Yeah.
And that is because Lane Kiffin wanted to switch the defense because we didn't run it in 2020. Mm-mm. So this defense is a Lane thing. And I think we need to figure out a way to get better within it as opposed to scrapping it. You're going to hear people talk about 3-man or 4-man fronts. I don't think that's important because you might have packages where you do different things, but you need to figure out a way to get more competitive inside what you're doing because Georgia runs a 3-man front. So I think, in my opinion, several people might say that, but a 3-man or a 4-man front, with that can be kind of I'm not going to say lazy argument, but it's a simple argument.
And I agree with it. I don't think it really matters.
You always said, John, that Lionel wasn't bad. He was just looking out for Lex. Do you really believe that?
Sure.
It's just, I really hope that we don't...
Because it is about family, and you needed a family. But it needed to be done because I loved you so much, my boy.
Who was doing your hair every episode? Because it was glorious.
Are you looking for a hairstylist?
I am, yes. No, but...
If something's working, let's not try to fix it.
Yeah, I think you're going to see the defensive ends, the 5 techniques, line up and be 285, 290 pounds moving forward. I think they're going to have some NASCAR-type packages like what you saw at the end of the year with Jared Ivey playing nose guard, Cedric Johnson. I think that's not going to change. But I do think that, like, if they can get a Braden Fisk, if they can get an Andre Carter, if they can get I forget that guy's last name. His first name's Paris. All of a sudden, your defensive ends get a little bit bigger. And that's going to make everything a little bit better. And if you take one box safety and turn it into basically a smaller linebacker, but a linebacker, just the same, that 3-2-6 becomes a 3-2-5, 3-3-5. And you can do a lot of stuff then. That's just my opinion on that.
Can we go back to the Perkins thing a minute?
Yeah, sure.
And so today I saw on Twitter, if it's true, that he supposedly in some interview said he was not going to sign early. Of course, he doesn't have to because everybody's going to still want him. And you think he's just waiting to see who Alabama signs, who Ole Miss signs, and then what the best deal he can get NIL?
Honestly, with Suntory Perkins, I will say, does everybody remember what Davidson Igbenogson did last year?
Mm-hmm.
Until I hear otherwise, I'm going to assume that's going to happen. I'm going to assume that Ole Miss is going to get that LOI on the early signing period, and they're just not going to release it until after the All-Star game.
I want to talk about the transfer portal for a second. I saw Lane retweeted Nico Ewers when he announced he's going to transfer portal. You think Lane's just trolling, or maybe trying to get Dart to be uncomfortable and not get complacent with being the starter? So I wouldn't mind if he brought him in and made Dart sweat a little for a job again this year.
Who's the quarterback? Because I'm looking at a
Nico
micro.
Ewers.
Nick Evers.
No,
Nick Evers. My bad.
It's potential he had interest in Ole Miss before Levy left.
Yeah, I heard Nick though. I like Nick, but I think it's just another place he's probably going to sit. But I do agree.
I wonder what Derek would have to say here. He's been MIA.
Oh, Derek Vandiger, he had a board meeting.
Yeah.
So, Nick Evers' parents, we know them from Spaces.
Oh, okay. When I hear Derek, I miss Derek Vandiger.
I will say I'd be interested in that, but I will say
it looked like about Mike Wright.
What was that?
Who posted this tweet in the Spaces about Mike Wright from Michael Borky?
Oh, that was me.
Okay.
I just wanted y'all's thoughts on that. I saw that after work today, and it was interesting to me.
Well, if Mike Wright does come in, it comes in to just be a body, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And in case of emergency, maybe it would work. I don't know why Mike Wright would want to do that, because he could do that at Vanderbilt.
Right. Get a
Vanderbilt degree.
Quick question. Why do so many Ole Miss fans hate Michael Borky?
That's a complex question.
Who?
Michael Borky. He is a reporter at Super Talk Mississippi here in Jackson, and he's a big Ole Miss guy.
He's a big Ole Miss guy. He covers Ole Miss, and he's the Super Talk Ole Miss guy, but he's from South Carolina.
Right.
And
Ole Miss fans don't tend to like any of or many journalists, or at least in my time.
Dude, Neil is the GOAT. Neil McCready. Love that guy.
I think there's mixed feelings on Neil sometimes.
So what have y'all heard on Derek Nix? I've been at work and really haven't been able to tune in on a lot of stuff this week.
Last thing we heard is he's not going anywhere.
That's what I thought, because him and Blackwell and Lane Kiffin went to visit Dante Dowell last night.
That Hugh Freeze staff looking rough.
My goodness. Did y'all see the hot board for the Auburn staff?
Oh, dude, I heard, so bad.
I heard
oh my goodness.
Todd Grantham for his BC.
So bad.
It's so bad.
There was literally Phil Longo and Wesley McGriff on it.
Dude, he has no connections. Dude's been in Lynchburg, Virginia for years.
Goodness.
No, his staff is awful.
I'm going to try to go to that game next year.
Is there any truth to the Derek Nix OC at Auburn?
No, I don't think so.
I won't be surprised if Will Rogers goes pro. Luke Altmaier might go back home.
I think Luke Altmaier is a dark horse to go to Southern.
I'd love to see it.
Or Kentucky.
Southern.
I'd like to see him go to Florida State.
Yeah, if he went back there, but Jordan Travis came back.
I was about to say, why would he go to Florida State? Travis is coming back. I mean, he could potentially go to Florida and try to compete.
I thought Travis was leaving.
And he's coming back.
No, he just announced he's coming back.
Hey, I just joined. What are y'all hearing about the Perkins deal?
Let's see. Kara, do you want to take this, or do you want me to repeat it again?
I can do it. Okay. Essentially, we really are under the impression it's ours until it's not, kind of deal. We haven't heard anything that really makes us believe he's flipping. So until there's something substantial, we're not really putting much into it. Did I cover that for you, Steven?
Yeah, pretty good. My thought is that I remember what they did with David Nigmanosin last year. Mm-hmm. And it may be something where he wants to announce at an all-star game or something like that.
Because it's funny that you mentioned Davis, because I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure, all those recruiting apps had him at a last minute crystal ball to go and, Rutgers and all this
Yes.
other stuff. And it's like, that never, that never bared any weight to it.
Yeah. Honestly, one thing that if you want to ask about gut feeling, I think the last minute push for Lane Kiffin for Dante Dowdle, I think he's Oregon, and we're just a shot in the dark on that one. Personally,
we have no idea what the Nike money is there.
Yeah, there's so many unknowns with that, and honestly, whenever he announced for Oregon that day, I was literally talking back and forth with his father or his stepfather, and everything was all good, all good, all good, all good, and then just ghosted. And at that point, I was like, okay, something happened. All right.
Steve, I got another question. You think we really need to increase kind of the talent and the skill that we have in the defensive back position? I know those guys are young and have a tremendous ceiling that they can hit. But do you think maybe bringing in some more veteran bodies, kind of how we did with Otis Reese? What was that, 2 3 years ago? I mean, there's that Owl Blades guy who just entered the portal from Miami, and granted they got torched all year, but I mean he's a big frame, knows how to play well, man. Do you think that's something we try to expand in?
I do not think that Ole Miss is going shopping too much for safeties. I think if a corner shows itself in the portal that they can get, they'll get him.
Oh, we need a couple. I mean, I appreciate Miles' battle for his efforts, but geez, Louise, that man was a huge liability in coverage.
I think corner from Wake Forest, they've already offered him.
Okay. Yeah,
I think we take at least 2 corners in the portal.
Yeah, if it's there, I think it's going to be Davison on one side, and they're trying to find the other side.
I think another position on defense we need to look at is DT. Like, I really appreciate Pegues and Katie Hill for what they do, but if we can get that real big nose tackle that you just can really just get in there.
Oh, we have that real big nose tackle. He's just a true freshman, and I think he has a chance to make a jump, and then Xavion Harris might end up being the starting nose next year.
Well, and speaking on that, do you also think at some point, we really kind of cut loose and start seeing Taiwan?
Yeah,
I mean,
great question.
He needs to commit to one sport.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that we offered Braden Fisk from Western Michigan. I saw today where we offered an edge rusher off that same team. Do you think that's a package deal or something?
Yeah, that kind of feels like I don't want to disrespect anybody, but we used to call it in recruiting the calf and a cow. You try and get one to get the other one, and yeah, I think it could be a package deal. But if you look at Andre Carter's numbers, they're decent. It's not like Kobe Arsenault out there. If anybody remembers that name.
Speaking of package deals, I mean, earlier this year,
Man,
we played Tulsa.
it's a long shot to get this guy because I'm sure Ohio State is pushing after him. But Cypress, the quarterback from Virginia, oh boy, that'd be a great game.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a huge get.
Hey, Reese, I'm sorry. You were kind of low. I don't think they heard you.
Yeah, I was saying that, speaking of package deals, earlier this September when we played Tulsa, there was, they had a linebacker, Justin Wright, and I think it's something Goodfella or Goodflow. They both hit the portal, and, just thinking that could be some low-hanging fruit that, wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't say it's someone like a Chance Campbell or anything like that, but just someone to kind of stack the box with on third downs or something. But I could see that being a potential play because, I mean, Justin Wright did kind of show out. I think he had, 9 or 10 tackles against us, so that's something to keep an eye on.
They need to replace Troy Brown for sure. That's an it's hard to believe when you say it's an undervalued thing, but Troy Brown was unbelievably good for Ole Miss this year. If it wasn't for Troy, problems.
Yeah.
I don't know if you brought him up yet, but I haven't really seen him talked about, but if we could get in there with Ryan O'Keefe, a real speed guy, like I would not mind bringing him in. He was from
Where's he?
UCF.
UCF. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. A couple of their receivers hit the portal just because anybody.
O'Keefe
Yeah.
would be a guy I would like to
Yeah,
see.
Ryan O'Keefe. That's what I'm
Except
talking about.
it really troubles me what the hell is going on with Jalen Robinson, but he's still here, so.
Yeah. We'll have to see what happens because, like I said, Jalen was very on point when he signed with Ole Miss in the summer that he was here for 6 months and he was going pro. So did he go to class with that in mind? Stuff like that becomes an issue.
Well, and also speaking about trying to fill in the slot, I know that old Jimmy Horn out of South Florida, I think he just hit the portal, and I mean he reminds me a lot of kind of what Jacour Pearson was for us. He's like 5'9", quick as a lightning bolt, and that's someone I'd try to keep my eyes peeled for and maybe bring in to fill out the middle of the field if we do end up losing Robinson or depending on how that goes with his health.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any centers yet that Ole Miss has offered.
No, I haven't either. And I personally, I would take a center this class. I think the guy from Cincinnati that was all conference is in the portal. And just because the beginning of the season, between that quarterback competition and the horrible snaps, like the first 6 games were worthless. And it just stunted our offensive development so much. And in case y'all don't notice, that bothers me.
It should.
Speaking of offensive line, isn't our offensive line coach at Auburn?
Yes.
Any word on who's the next offensive line coach?
The guy at NC State.
Where?
Of course, Neil or somebody reported the guy at NC State was the leader at the moment. He was at FAU with Lane.
Well, that would be good because they were a big pass pro team, and our pass protection was god awful.
Yeah. People don't understand. People don't understand that. They're like, "Oh, y'all ran for 3,700 yards. You can't be mad at your offensive line coach." And I was like, "No, trust me.
No,
This is a mutual breakup."
Are you talking about John Garrison?
Maybe. I think so.
Okay.
Are we all in on the Maryland tight end, or are we going to maybe go after one of the South Carolina guys or anybody else in the portal?
Bell would be a great get.
I think they're going to shotgun it. They immediately went after their Dupree because he first showed, but I think they're going to go after Bell too. I think Stogner's going to go back to Oklahoma, by the way.
Which is really interesting because, I mean, it'll be the first transfer that we've really seen like that. Like, somebody that transfers out just to go back.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's also a tight end, Kyle. There's also a tight end named Kyle Morlock. That I don't even know what school he's from. I've never heard of it. It's Shorter University or something. But he's 6'7", 250, and when we're trying to put front seven up there, that's something that's a big body. I wouldn't be opposed to maybe entertaining that either.
Yeah, the funny thing is with Lane is until this year they could always just point to tight ends like, look at our track record of how we use them, and this year they just disappeared. It's an incredible vanishing act.
Farewell, Casey Kelly.
Oh man.
Whatever happened to Hudson Wolf? I feel like he was
injuries.
Injuries, okay, because I feel like he was a big time, almost a blue chip kind of guy that we got in that.
He was signed hurt, and when he got to Oxford, they found out that he was really hurt.
Okay.
On a side note, Y'all saw that tweet from Kiffin with Kirby Smart at a small airport. I assume they were recruiting the same guy. Was that receiver down in Cordell, Georgia?
I don't know if Kirby Smart was recruiting him. That Kirby just might have crossed paths. I don't think George is recruiting Caden Lee.
Okay.
I talked to John Garcia. He's going to be on the show tomorrow, and he thinks it is a South Carolina Ole Miss battle.
Okay.
Who is our true freshman tight end that was supposed to get playing time? Or it was all hyped up when Trey got hurt?
He apparently struggles in run blocking, which in our offense, I guess that would be problematic.
But I mean, is that something that Trig excels at?
More than him, just because he had been playing a little bit of tight end for longer at a college level.
Are we still solid with Sanders now that Thornton's leaving?
Yes. Bryson Sanders' dad played at Ole Miss. He committed to Ole Miss, not to a coach.
Bryson Sanders is probably our most locked in commit in the whole class.
Javante Connor as well, I would think.
Reed is too, right?
Yes.
Reed is real locked in, but get ready for some drama on Reed. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, that anything's going to happen, but you're going to hear people get pumped up because Auburn's going to recruit him, Texas A&M, and you're going to hear about all of that in the last 2 weeks.
Well, there was also a weird retweet this week of Taylor Groves. I forget who it was, but someone, hit the transfer portal and he quoted the tweet with the eye emojis, and that just kind of made me question anything. I don't really question Taylor Groves' commitment, but I mean that was just kind of a oddball tweet to have.
Yeah. The last 2 weeks of November were weird, and I imagine it took a toll on everybody, whether anybody talks about it or not.
I think too, hopefully we just keep Aiden.
I think from what I hear, Aiden's locked in. I think Aiden's pretty well locked in.
Man, I hope so. LSU's making a hard push, though.
Yeah. But I think what helps him is the fact that Deion Smith did not work out down there at all.
I also feel like Freeze is putting his staff together to come after Mississippi kids. He can't recruit in Alabama, so he's just going to go with familiar territory.
I don't think Freeze is thinking that far ahead. I think he's having to do this out of necessity, because if you look at their hot board, it's all Ole Miss coaches or ex-Ole Miss coaches. It's where are these 200 coaches that reached out to you when you got the Auburn job?
Yeah, really.
Yeah. MIA, Myth.
Yeah, where there's that. Why are you thinking about Wesley McGriff, a defensive coordinator?
He's thinking about freaking Todd Grantham.
Yeah.
Hey, Deion Sanders has already passed up Freeze as far as the coaches hire.
Well, Deion Sanders also just hired Willie Taggart, so my respect for his coaching staff went down severely.
He's got 2 former head coaches on his staff already then.
Yeah. Willie Taggart is a running back coach, though?
Yeah, Willie Taggart is anything to coach on your staff right now. It's just, ugh.
Steven, I saw where Lane Kiffin liked a tweet about Travis Hunter.
Oh, if Travis Hunter goes into the portal, everybody is going to recruit Travis Hunter. But I think Travis Hunter will end up in Colorado because I think he wants to learn under Deion Sanders.
Absolutely. There's a tight end at Oklahoma State that entered the portal Sunday, I believe. His name is Mason Cobb, and I would love for Ole Miss to pursue him.
Yes. Tight ends, any and all, send me you're tired, you're weak, you're weary. What is that whole thing from the Statue of Liberty? We're all about tight ends and slot receivers. Come on down.
Yeah, I was about to say, speaking of receivers, what's going on with Rara Thomas? I know UGA is going after him, but I know we definitely have interest.
Weighing his options.
Yeah, the rumor is, and this is just a rumor that I heard, and I've heard multiple people say it, but they could have heard it from the same place, is that he went to Mississippi State with a demand to get paid. Because he I think, if I'm not mistaken, Rara was a guy that was underpaid when he got there. He was on a low-end deal, and he was like, hey, pay me or I'm gone. And they're like, well, go. And so he went. So I think he's going out there with a dollar figure.
We got to think about chemistry in their locker room too with some of these guys.
Oh yeah.
Hey Steven, you were talking about Mingo. He was in the same recruiting class as John Rice in 2019, so he does have his COVID year if he wants to come back.
Okay, thank you.
And I don't know who just mentioned Mason Cobb, but I'm pretty sure he's a linebacker.
I did. I meant to say he was a linebacker,
Yeah,
but he
yeah.
was.
I mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
I think he's something that we try to not put all of our eggs in one basket, but I mean he's the glue to that Cowboys defense, and I think that'd be a great pickup.
Most definitely.
Well, if y'all haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. If we get to 3,000 before the Texas Bowl, we're going to do a pregame live stream. We're going to set it up hopefully where Kara is in the stadium, and we're going to be able to get some color. We'd appreciate that. And also, over the course of the next month, whenever Ole Miss gets a portal commitment, we are going to live stream it. On signing day, we're going to live stream signees. So we got a lot of stuff coming from the live stream side of the house to go along with our pre-recorded stuff, like the Locked On Ole Miss podcast and things like that. And of course, the best thing about it is it's free.
We also are going to have a giveaway soon, so be on the lookout for that.
Would have had one tomorrow, but Kara had a board meeting.
I know. I'm sorry, guys. Have a job too.
Yeah.
Job gets it away.
I know. That damn pesky job.
Boring.
J-O-B.
But seriously,
we talked about the quarterback room being thin, and I know that Dent he walked out on senior night, but I think he's got another year if he wanted to, and obviously he's not going to play. But what if they gave him $50,000 just to come back and be the holder and be an emergency quarterback?
I think that's possible. I think he would do it. He might not even take $50,000.
Yeah, whatever. So
come back for 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's a good holder, and he's a good backup. Third string quarterback. He probably helps in practice. So
the big thing that I also with John Garcia yesterday, I talked about Marcel Reed and everything, and he needs to put on some weight when he gets to college level, mentally and physically, as far as his throwing arm and all that. He's there, but he's slight. He's like 6'2", 170 pound right now. He's like Brody Croyle out there throwing passes.
Look at Bryce Young.
Yeah, but I don't know if they would trust him to throw him out there. I think they want somebody. So if they could get Kincaid Dent to come back, I think they would absolutely do that.
Yeah.
Well, Kara, before we get out of here, you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything. I mean, I would like for Hugh to get out of our business and do his own thing. Come on, girl, we broke up. Move on. He's really being on an obnoxious level right now. But
like I said, I don't think he's being obnoxious. I just don't think he can do it any other way.
It's just who he is.
He wanted the job. Figure it out.
Yeah. I mean,
he had all those text messages. Go text someone back.
But anyway, we're going to get out of here. We're going to put this up on the YouTube channel tomorrow. For anybody that missed any portion of it and just wants to listen to it, it'll be there from then. But for Kara, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. And tonight was really fun. And we'll keep going every Tuesday at about 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central, moving forward. I enjoy doing these spaces, and these are a lot of fun. So anyway, thanks to everybody for stopping by, and we'll see you next week.
Hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy.